When the millionaire's son chooses his housekeeper as a tutor, an incredible truth is revealed. Jesse Whitmore felt like a ghost in his own life, a rich, wealthy ghost haunted by expectations he never asked for. Growing up in a picture-perfect suburban neighborhood with manicured lawns and pristine sidewalks had its perks, but being the only son of a millionaire businessman came with burdens that felt heavier with every passing day. His father pushed him toward elite Ivy League schools and corporate takeovers, but Jesse's heart yearned for something beyond wealth, a life where he could be true to himself instead of a mere extension of his father's empire. When Maria entered his world. She was their housekeeper, a spirited single mother working 2 jobs to give her daughter a fighting chance. She moved through their sprawling mansion with an ease that belied the chaos of her life, her laughter spilling into the kitchen like sunshine. Jesse often found himself running into her, her stories of hope and resilience gradually carving out a safe space in his heart. Little did he know that she would become the guiding light he desperately needed. One evening, Jesse stood in the cozy kitchen, adorned with family photographs, feeling edgy and lost. Maria was preparing dinner, humming a tune that filled the air with warmth. "Do you ever think about what you really want, Jesse?" she asked, glancing over her shoulder as an aroma of fresh herbs wafted through the room. The question struck like a thunderclap, cracking open something deep inside him. I don't know," he stammered, his heart racing. "I just feel so trapped by everything." It was in this humble kitchen that he found the courage to approach her. "Could you help me study? I could use a tutor." Maria smiled, her eyes sparkling with understanding. And so began the unexpected friendship that changed everything. Their sessions were about more than just algebra and literature, they unfolded narratives drenched in sweat, determination, and hard-won lessons. He hung on her every word, absorbing not just the subjects at hand but also the essence of courage, sacrifice, and true worth. As days turned to weeks, Jesse enthusiastically worked through equations and essays, gaining not just knowledge but a sense of self. The gilded cage that was his life felt stifling, igniting an internal battle, a titanic struggle between the crushing expectations of his father and the pulsating call of a genuine identity rooted in hard work and character. But just when the weight of his newfound understanding began to lift him, his father discovered their secret. The confrontation exploded like fireworks in the night sky. "What are you doing with her?" His father's voice boomed in the living room, the walls trembling under the weight of his anger. Jesse felt his resolve harden. "She deserves respect. She works harder than anyone here," he shot back, defending Maria's dignity fiercely. The tension rose, thickening the air as family and friends watched in stunned silence. Outside, the sun began to set, casting golden hues throughout the room, yet the air felt heavy, thick with judgment and disbelief. Then, a family friend, a local vet, stepped in, his voice steady and clear. "She does more for this community than your money ever will." As Jesse and the veteran stood shoulder to shoulder for Maria, something shifted in the room. A wave of realization rippled through the onlookers, opening eyes to the true meaning of merit and respect. The confrontation was now a challenge to everyone present, urging them all to reconsider the values they had blindly accepted, but still, deep down, Jesse felt the clenching anxiety of potential rejection from his father, the very person he longed to impress. Would the comforts of privilege win out, or could he find the courage to speak his truth? With emotions swirling and tension thick in the air, Jesse stood torn at the crossroads of love and identity, unraveling the very fabric of who he thought he was. And as the shadows lengthened, the stakes grew higher, gripping the audience with uncertainty about what lay ahead. Jesse stood frozen, breath caught in his throat, a tempest of emotions swirling inside him. His father's face was dark, contorted with disbelief and anger, while the room buzzed with murmurs from those who had gathered, their eyes bouncing between Jesse and the veteran. The air was thick, waiting for a release that felt as if it might never come. "Jesse, this is ridiculous. You can't be serious about this woman." His father's voice cracked like a whip, cutting through the tension. Jesse's heart pounded fiercely, it felt like a drum echoing in a void. He glanced at Maria, who stood a few feet away, visibly shaken yet resolute. Her eyes were filled with a mix of fear and determination, like an anchor in a storm. "It's not just about her," Dad," Jesse finally found his voice, the words tumbling out as he summoned every ounce of courage. "It's about who I want to be. I want to learn, but what?" His father scoffed. "You want to learn from the help?" Jesse's chest tightened. Each word felt like a wound. She's not just the help. She's a person. She has dreams, and she's taught me more than any of your fancy schools ever could. Silence blanketed the room. The crowd held its breath, waiting to see how this standoff would unfold. It was as if time had stopped, and in that grim stillness, Jesse felt vulnerable yet alive, a flicker of rebellion igniting within him. Maria stepped forward, her voice steady but soft. "Mr. Whitmore, I never meant to overstep. I'm just trying to make a better life for my daughter. Jesse is just curious, and I'm doing my best to help him find his path." Her sincerity hung in the air like a prayer, touching something deep within Jesse's soul. Jesse's father huffed, his face distorted with frustration and condescension. "A better life? You're in no position to influence my son's future. This is not how we operate." With each word from his father, Jesse felt a knot tightening in his gut. He didn't want to choose between the life he knew and the life he craved. Both were part of him now. "Is this the legacy you want?" Jesse shot back. "To keep pretending that money and status overrule everything? Maria has shown me life is about heart and effort. Shouldn't that matter too?" The weight of those words lingered in the air. Jesse dared to glance around the room. Friends and family were rocking on their heels, faces skewed towards an array of emotions: concern, admiration, disbelief. It was a moment he'd never forget. His father clenched his fists, jaw tightening, but Jesse wasn't backing down. He was done being the passive heir to a legacy that didn't feel like his own. "Would you rather I be a puppet on strings?" Jesse continued, his voice steady and clear. "You think I want your life? The emptiness? The suffocating expectations?" The air quivered, heavy with a fragile tension that threatened to fracture everything. Finally, his father exhaled sharply, his eyes narrowing. "You're just confused," he spat defiantly. "You'll regret this." Jesse felt a chill slice through him. But in that moment, everything in his life aligned like stars in a clear sky. "Maybe I will," he replied quietly, resolved. "But at least I'll be living my own truth." As the room filled with hushed whispers, Jesse stood firm, filled with a fierce urgency, wrestling with uncertainty about his father's next move. But inside, he felt the weight lift just a fraction, realizing that standing up for what was right ignited something profound in him. As the evening dragged on, resolve and fear danced together in his heart, and he wondered, how far would he have to go to claim his own identity? The next move would define everything. Who would break? Would family ties shatter, or could love turn the tide? The question haunted him as he prepared for the battle ahead. Jesse took a deep breath, feeling a rush of adrenaline course through him. His father's disappointment settled heavily on his shoulders, but it only added fuel to his fire. The murmurs in the room faded into a low hum, and all he could think about was the confrontation that lay ahead. Would his father lash out, or was there some chance, some glimmer of understanding beneath all that bluster? Maria held his gaze, her expression a mix of pride and worry, and it anchored him. She offered a small nod, a silent message that she was with him, no matter what happened next. He needed that support more than ever, and it reminded him of the strength they both carried, forged in their shared struggles against a world that often dismissed their efforts. "Jesse," his father began, voice dangerously calm, "you're making a mistake. In my experience, people like her only want to take advantage of your kindness." It was a chilling statement, revealing his father's worldview and the prejudice that lay beneath it. Jesse's heart raced. This was more than just a disagreement, it was a battle of ideals, and he felt the entirety of his future hanging in the balance. "Dad, it's not about money or status. It's about respect," Jesse replied, his voice firm. "Maria deserves that respect. She taught me that it's the content of a person's character that matters, not their job title." The expression on his father's face morphed from anger to something like chaos. Jesse could see the shock rippling through him, the struggle to compose himself while grappling with the weight of Jesse's conviction. The murmurs around them swelled, filling the air with uncertainty, and Jesse felt as if he were standing on the edge of a cliff, ready to leap into the unknown. "You think this is going to lead you to some grand discovery?" His father's voice was laced with disdain. "You're just a kid with romantic notions. You're neglecting the reality of life's challenges." "No," Jesse countered, frustration welling up inside him. "You're the one who's blind to reality. You live in a bubble where money insulates you from genuine connection. That's not what I want." With those words, some of the tension in the room visibly shifted. Jesse's aunt, standing at the edge of the crowd, seemed moved, nodding slightly as if she understood Jesse's plight. He could feel the start of something almost palpable in the air, the birth of a potential ally. Then, his father's face darkened. "You want to stand next to her? Become friends with someone who cleans up after us? You think she'll be your ticket to some enlightenment?" Beneath the heat of his father's words, Jesse felt his resolve harden. "That's not how I see it. What if she's the one who can teach me about life? About resilience? I choose to learn from those who have lived it, not just from textbooks filled with theories." Maria's eyes gleamed with something that looked like hope. Jesse could almost hear her silent prayer that this moment counted for something meaningful, something that would bridge their worlds. "You're naive," his father shot back, the edge of his voice strained. "Just wait until you see her true colors." A crowd member scoffed, igniting a wave of murmurs. Jesse caught the whispers, half-formed phrases like, "just a phase," and, "he LLC." But he refused to back down. He refused to let their judgments cage his spirit. "Maybe she'll reveal something you don't understand," Jesse challenged, his voice rising above the crowd. "Not every lesson comes from privilege, but from humility." The look his father shot him was charged with disbelief. Jesse took a step closer, heart pounding, now ready to face whatever retaliation would come. "Perhaps," Jesse continued, his tone steady, "the real question is, what will you do if I decide to walk this path with her? Are you prepared to lose me, or will you finally see?" Silence swept over the crowd, wrapping them in a heavy blanket, and Jesse felt the tension thrum with anticipation. How would his father respond? As the weight of that moment settled, Jesse realized the battle for his identity had only just begun. But what would it take for his father to understand? Could love truly bridge the divide, or would it only create an even deeper chasm? The unknown loomed ahead, and Jesse felt the thrill of both fear and possibility propelling him forward. The silence was deafening. Jesse braced himself, searching his father's face for any hint of a shift. Instead, he saw a man cornered by his own beliefs, arms crossed rigidly, jaw set tight. The murmurs of the crowd faded into indistinct whispers, all eyes trained on this charged exchange. Jesse's heart thudded in his chest, each beat echoing his uncertainty. "Jesse," his father finally said, voice taut with barely contained rage, "you think standing by her side will define you? You'll only end up regretting it." Regret. The word hung in the air like a dark cloud. Jesse clenched his fists, muscles tensed with a mixture of fury and determination. "Maybe regret is choosing to live a life dictated by fear," he shot back. "I'm not afraid to stand up for what I believe in." Maria gave a soft gasp, almost imperceptible, but Jesse noticed. He turned to her, briefly catching her gaze. There it was again, that glimmer of pride. It filled him with renewed strength. The crowd seemed to hold its breath, waiting for his father's next move. Would he destroy his son's hopes? Or could they bridge the chasm that separated them? His father took a step forward, but the intensity in his voice faltered. "What do you know about real struggle, Jesse? What do you know about the decisions that come with desperation?" The question cut through the tension like a knife. Jesse's jaw tightened, the words twisting inside him, wanting desperately to pour out. Instead, he swallowed hard, recalling the night spent sitting with Maria under the stars, sharing stories of their lives. I know more than you think, Dad, he said, voice steady. I've seen how hard Maria fights every single day just to keep her family together. That strength, that resilience, it matters. His father recoiled, anger mixing with disbelief. Resilience doesn't pay the bills, he spat, desperation creeping into his tone. It doesn't build a legacy. You're chasing a fantasy. I'm chasing truth. Jesse exclaimed, his passion igniting the air around him. If chasing a better understanding of people is a fantasy, then I want to live in it. At the corner of his eye, Jesse saw his aunt leaning in, her expression softening, with a hint of tears glistening. A flicker of hope ignited within him. If even just one person understood him, maybe there was a chance. His father's face twisted in anguish, frustration bubbling over. You're making a monumental mistake. You can't, no. You can't keep me trapped in this world of privilege. Jesse interrupted, a mix of anger and hurt fueling his words. I want to let you. I need to forge my own path. Suddenly, the air shifted again. Jesse's mother, who had remained quiet until now, stepped in. Rick, she said softly, her voice firm yet cautious. He's right. We need to let him find his own way. Maybe we have to learn from the paths we haven't taken. Silence enveloped the space, leaving every heart beating on its own. Jesse's father flinched, the emotion cracking through his stoic facade. Jesse took a deep breath, readying himself for the possibility of change. But would this be enough? Would his father relent, or would the divide deepen irrevocably? As that uncomfortable silence stretched, Jesse felt a new determination rise within him. He could no longer rely on someone else's approval. The only thing that mattered was what lay ahead, and he was beginning to see it clearly, but just as he was about to speak again, a loud shout broke through the tension, capturing everyone's attention. What are you doing? You can't just. Jesse turned, caught off guard by the interruption. Who was this? What unexpected twist was about to unfold? The crowd shifted, attention now divided between him and the new voice, presenting yet another challenge he'd have to face. Jesse's heart raced as he whipped around to face the source of the interruption. The crowd parted slightly, revealing a young man with tousled brown hair and bulging eyes that danced with agitation. He looked vaguely familiar, a member of his father's circle, maybe a friend or a colleague. Jesse felt a knot tightening in his stomach. What are you doing? The young man shouted again, his voice sharp and accusatory. You can't just throw away your life like this. You're making a huge mistake. The crowd shifted uneasily, glancing between Jesse and the newcomer. Jesse could feel the heat rising in his cheeks. His father's expression was a mix of anger and embarrassment, and Jesse's heart sank. This was not what he needed. I'm not throwing anything away. Jesse shot back, trying hard to keep his voice steady. I'm finally claiming my own life. The young man scoffed, glancing around at the onlookers who seemed both captivated and horrified. Claiming your life? By aligning yourself with someone like her? He gestured dismissively at Maria, standing silently to the side. She's just a housekeeper. Those words stung. Jesse heard Maria's sharp intake of breath, and he instinctively stepped closer to her. You don't even know her. He snapped, fury igniting within him. You don't have a clue about her strength or her journey. Strength doesn't come from a resume, Jesse. It comes from power, money, influence. The young man's voice rose. Your father worked hard to give you a life that most people only dream of. Are you really prepared to throw that away because you want to play superhero? With a deep breath, Jesse eyed the crowd, searching for support. He saw his mother's encouraging smile, and his aunt's concerned frown. This moment stretched like an unwelcome silence, the tension building like a storm cloud ready to burst. Jesse felt his resolve harden. Maybe you're the one who doesn't understand what true strength is, he said, his voice low but firm. True strength is the ability to see beyond ourselves, to care for those who need it. Maria has taught me that. The young man rolled his eyes, clearly unfazed. You think that's enough? Come on. When life gets tough, it's not going to be resilience that saves you. Jesse's heart raced. Were they really having this argument in front of everyone? This wasn't just about him anymore. It was about Maria, about everything he believed in. You don't have to understand what I'm doing, Jesse replied, tone serious. But I refuse to let you or anyone else tell me who I should be. I'll find my own way, and if that includes Maria, then so be it. Behind Jesse, Maria stepped forward, her eyes glistening with both uncertainty and trust. I may not have a powerful position, she said softly, her voice steady, but I know hard work and dedication make a difference. Jesse sees that in me, and I see it in him. Together, we can challenge the world. The crowd seemed to swell with new energy. Jesse felt the tide beginning to shift, whispers of encouragement passing between people who had been simply watching. You're making a mistake, Jesse, the young man hissed again, but the fire in Jesse was igniting others too. Glancing back towards his father, Jesse saw a flicker of something. Was it understanding? Was it fear? Fury? Jesse! His father barked, but this time the urgency felt different. You can't be serious about this. And at that moment, the tension snapped like a rubber band. Jesse felt vulnerable yet free. Tears stung his eyes as he clung to a fragile hope, a vision of a different life ahead of him. Who knew what the next moment would bring? The air crackled with unresolved energy. What would this confrontation mean for him, for Maria, for the family structure that felt more like glass than steel? Jesse took a deep breath, readying himself for the next wave of confrontation. Would his father relent, or would this confrontation only deepen their already fractured relationship? Jesse's heart raced as he stood on the precipice of change, aware that this wasn't just an argument anymore, it was a defining moment. What could possibly happen next? Jesse's breath caught in his throat as he faced his father, the man who had shaped his whole world. Behind him, the murmurs of the crowd swelled into an ocean of uncertainty. Each whisper felt like a weight pressing down on him, but he stood firm. Power and privilege had never felt like a true safety net. It was just a way to hide from the world, to hide from himself. Wanting to help others isn't a mistake, Jesse said, his voice breaking slightly but gaining strength with each word. I want to make a difference in a way that matters, not just follow a path paved with expectation. His father's expression remained steely, but there was a pinched look at the corners of his mouth. You think this fantasy you have with her can change anything? You'll end up losing everything. You're throwing away a lifetime of opportunity. With the bitterness of his father's words, Jesse felt a surge of anger. He glanced at Maria, whose eyes were wide, reflecting disbelief and confusion. She had treated him like an equal, something he had never felt from his own family. Is that what you think of me? Maria's voice trembled as she stepped up beside Jesse. Just a housekeeper. You've never taken the time to see what I can do or who I am. I've fought my whole life to stand where I am today. The crowd leaned in, captivated by this unexpected turn. Jesse could feel hope blossoming in his chest. The onlookers were starting to see what he saw. Not just a woman cleaning houses but a warrior in her own right, fighting against the tide. Jesse turned back to his father, raw emotion pouring from him. What if this is my truth? What if living my life on my terms is the real opportunity? I don't need wealth to bring change. His father's face fell, a mix of fury and desperation swirling within him. You think this is about wealth? It's about legacy. Your name matters, your family matters. You're throwing it all away. Each word from his father was a dagger, but Jesse took another breath. Maybe a different kind of legacy is what the world needs. I want to build something real, something that matters. The young man who started this whole scene stepped closer, frustration etched on his face. You're foolish, Jesse. You'll regret this the moment reality hits. Once you're out there and you'll see the truth. Maybe it's not me who needs to see the truth, Jesse countered, his voice louder now. Maybe it's you. What good is your truth if it's just a gilded cage? His father didn't respond, his features frozen in a mixture of shame and anger. The crowd was silent now, hanging on every word. This wasn't just Jesse's fight anymore, it was a challenge to the beliefs and values that had been imposed on him. As Jesse's heart raced, the realization washed over him. This was bigger than him. This was about standing up for those who felt voiceless, who felt small. He took Maria's hand, feeling the warmth and strength radiating through her grip. Together, they could face the world. Suddenly, Jesse heard his mother breaking through the thick tension. "Jesse, maybe you should just..." Her voice trailed off, surprise lighting her features as she took in the scene. "What will you do, then, son?" His father pressed, narrowing his eyes. "Walk away from everything. You're welcome to this life we've built." But Jesse's heart was no longer in his father's world. The path ahead was frightening but liberating. "No, Dad. I want to build something true, something real." Just then, someone from the crowd shouted, "What's next for you, Jesse? What happens now?" The words hung in the air, heavy and loaded with expectation. Jesse felt the weight of his decision, every eye upon him. What would he say next? With a determined nod, he stood taller, ready for the next chapter of his life. "I'll show you. I'll show everyone. Together, we'll prove there's more to life than the riches of yesterday." As he spoke, Jesse could feel the gears of change begin to turn. A promise had been made, and it felt alive, electric. Would his father ever accept this new direction? Would Maria truly stand by him? He took a deep breath, knowing the hardest part was yet to come. The crowd waited, breathless, eager for Jesse's next step. What would he choose? Jesse's heart raced as he looked around at the crowd, their faces a mix of curiosity and support. His fingers tightened around Maria's as he felt the weight of 1,000 expectations pressing down on him. This was at the moment that could change everything. "What's next for you, Jesse?" That voice from the crowd asked again, breaking the spell of silence. Jesse took a deep breath and shifted his gaze back to where his father stood, arms crossed, brow furrowed. The man whose opinion had woven itself into the fabric of Jesse's upbringing now appeared like a fading shadow, less powerful than just moments before. Determination surged through him. "We're going to start a community center," he began, the words flowing as he envisioned it. "A place for kids, for families, somewhere we can teach skills, support each other. It won't just be about me, it'll be about everyone." The murmurs from the crowd shifted. Laughter at first, and then applause. Jesse felt a wave of warmth wash over him, a stark contrast to the icy disappointment simmering in his father's eyes. "Are you serious?" One of Jesse's childhood friends called out, skepticism laced in his tone. "How can you turn your back on everything we've had? Playing charity doesn't change who you are. Maybe it's time someone did." Jesse's voice was firm, slicing through the doubts. "It's easy to judge from the sidelines, but I want to get involved, to make things better for people who struggle every day like my friend Maria here." Maria's eyes sparkled with surprise, and Jesse couldn't help but smile at her encouragement. Her presence was his anchor. It was almost as if she was saying, "You've got this." His father's voice cut in, sharp and unyielding. "You'll learn, Jesse. You'll learn how hard it is to give and receive nothing in return. There's a reason we strive for success. Wealth is security. But Dad, wealth without purpose is empty." Jesse shot back, his frustration bubbling to the surface. The real value is found in connecting with others, in lifting them up. In that moment, a sense of clarity washed over Jesse. No longer just a son rebelling against his father, he was a man claiming his identity. He was ready to redefine what success meant, no longer a gilded cage, but a shared experience rich in community and purpose. "Change is scary." Maria's voice chimed in, echoing Jesse's thoughts. But what about those living in fear? In poverty? They're scared every day. We have a chance to change that, together. The crowd was erupting now. They were hungry for hope, inspiration, and a vision beyond money. Jesse looked at the people gathered, feeling their energy lift him. They were ready for this, just like he was, but then, the young man from before stepped into the spotlight again. Fine. Let us see how long that lasts. You're not invincible. Maybe not, Jesse replied, meeting the challenger's gaze. But I've got something worth fighting for now. His father stepped forward, eyes darkening with disapproval. And what about the family name, Jesse? You're risking years of legacy for a fleeting whim. Dad, this is my legacy. I'm not running away. I'm stepping forward. His voice carried through the air and settled over the crowd like a blanket of conviction. The applause grew louder, echoing back to Jesse and igniting the spark of doubt in his father's heart. As he took in the swells of cheer and support, he made a vow silently to himself. He wouldn't just be the son, he would become the leader, one who was ready to face the challenges head on. As the excitement of the moment washed over him, a new thought shimmered at the back of Jesse's mind. He gazed at Maria, who seemed to glow with newfound purpose. What happens when we struggle? He asked, hardly aware he'd spoken aloud. But the words fell from his lips, leaving a lingering question in the air. Would they be able to withstand the weight of the world outside? Both the excitement and the fear of the unknown buzzed in the atmosphere, a reminder they were only at the beginning of a long journey. Maria looked at him, determination blazing in her eyes. Together, we'll find a way. As Jesse smiled back at her, the path ahead sparkled with possibility. But beyond that bright horizon, looming shadows of doubt and hardship threatened. He breathed deeply, knowing the real test was yet to come. Could they keep the fire of hope alive? Could they create a better future amid the chaos that awaited? And just like that, Jesse touched the beat of destiny for the first time, ready to face whatever came next. The energy in the air crackled as Jesse stood there, flanked by Maria and the electrifying crowd. Each cheer seemed to pierce through the shadows of doubt that had long hung over him. But for every cheer, he felt his father's disapproval brewing, a storm threatening to unleash its fury. Let us make this clear, Jesse, his father's voice boomed, cutting through the applause. You think you can just throw away everything we've built for some misguided sense of community? You're young, and you don't understand the sacrifices that come with that. Jesse clenched his fists, ready to defend his newfound determination. I want to build something real, Dad. The world isn't just about wealth. It's about connection. His father laughed, a bitter edge to it. Connection won't pay the bills or put food on the table. It's a nice thought, but that's all it is. Unstable and fleeting. Maria stepped forward, her voice steady and fierce. But tell me, what kind of legacy is it if you only care about money? People need hope, Mr. Harper. Jesse is choosing to fight for something he believes in. That matters more than riches. The crowd murmured in agreement, a sea of nodding heads and clenched fists in support of Jesse and Maria. Jesse's heart raced, but he took a deep breath. Dad, maybe it's time to think differently. Maybe we're all missing out on what it means to truly live, truly connect with others. Enough. His father's voice echoed with finality, the weight of his authority heavy in the air. You are my son. You owe it to me and our family name to follow the path I've laid out for you. The tension grew thicker. The cheers faded, replaced by the deafening silence of uncertainty. Jesse felt himself wavering, but just as quickly, he found his footing. I owe it to myself to find my own way. His father's expression shifted, a mix of disbelief and anger etched deep into his features. You'll regret this, Jesse. When you find that no one follows you down this road, I hope you're ready to face the consequences of your choices. There it was, the final threat hanging ominously in the air. The cheers had transformed into gasps of fear, a realization settling over the crowd, Jesse was about to defy the expectations of his entire life, risking everything he had ever known, but just when doubt began to creep in, he remembered the faces of those who needed support, the kids laughing in his vision of the community center. "I won't be alone. We'll face this together," he declared, looking straight into Maria's eyes, finding strength in her unwavering gaze. "Yes," she exclaimed, stepping closer to Jesse. "We won't let fear dictate our actions. This is about a community, about families who need a chance. We have a purpose." Jesse's heart soared, and he turned back to the crowd, who responded with renewed enthusiasm. They began to chant his name. The doubts of his father faded into the background, overshadowed by the overwhelming sense of unity that enveloped him. Hope surged within him, the promise of a better tomorrow taking root. Just as the mood began to lift, the young skeptic from earlier stepped forward again. "What happens when the hard times hit? When the money runs out? You can't be naive forever, Jesse." That question hung heavily in the air, prompting murmurs. What would they do when faced with real challenges? Jesse swallowed hard. It was a truth he couldn't ignore. "I'll make sure that we never lose sight of our purpose," Jesse shouted back, determination igniting his spirit. "We'll build resilience together." But even as he spoke boldly, he couldn't shake the weight of reality. The truth was daunting. What if he did fail? What if that road became too rocky? "Are you ready to lead us?" Maria's eyes sparkled with fire and a touch of vulnerability. "Ready or not, I have to be," he replied, knowing the journey would be fraught with uncertainty. It was a leap into the unknown, and it terrified him. With each beat of his heart, he felt the tide begin to turn. The world outside loomed large and daunting, but for the first time, it felt like he was standing on the edge of a great adventure, a story waiting to unfold. As the crowd rallied around him, Jesse grinned, feelings of both excitement and fear spiraling within him. He realized they were not just fighting for a community center, they were fighting for hope, for dreams, for a better future, but beneath that joy, a gripping question loomed: what would they sacrifice to keep their vision alive? As the crowd erupted in cheers, Jesse knew this was only the beginning. Yet, he also felt the shadow of doubt creeping back in, whispering dark realities that threatened to unravel his plan. In that moment, Jesse's resolve solidified. They would need more than just enthusiasm, they would need a plan and intricate roadmap to guide them through the storm ahead. And with that thought echoing in his heart, Jesse turned to face the challenge, ready to embrace a truth that could change everything. What would that plan look like? Would he and Maria find the strength to navigate the obstacles that lay ahead? The crowd buzzed with excitement, lifting Jesse from uncertainty to purpose. Yet, the lingering doubt gnawed at him. He needed a plan, a clear direction to steer them through this uncharted territory. Desperate for focus, Jesse glanced at Maria, her expression a mix of encouragement and determination. He felt that the moment had come, they'd need to gather their allies and forge ahead with intent. "Okay, everyone," he called, raising his hand to hush the crowd. "Let's get together and brainstorm. We need ideas, resources, and most importantly, each of you on board." A ripple of agreement rolled through the crowd, people murmuring among themselves. Jesse could see the glimmer of hope rekindling in their eyes. They would no longer be just faces in a crowd, they were becoming a community. Maria stepped forward again, her voice ringing out like a beacon in the night. "Let's break down what we need. We've got heart, we've got passion, but we need a strategy to make this dream a reality." With those words, Jesse felt the pulse of determination surge within him. They began forming smaller groups, each tackling a different aspect of the community center vision. Some focused on fundraising, others on outreach, and a few dove into the logistics of what it would take to turn the vacant lot into a safe haven for families. As the teams gathered, Jesse felt his anxiety morphing into a sense of urgency and excitement. Laughter and chatter filled the space around him, representing a promise of unity. "Jesse!" A voice called from the back. It was Linda, one of the local business owners. We want to contribute. How can we help make this happen? Her words ignited a fire in Jessie's chest. We can organize events. Fundraisers, community cleanups, anything we can think of to get the ball rolling. The air grew electric again as ideas flew back and forth. They discussed bake sales, charity runs, and local artist showcases. Each suggestion layered another brick on the foundation of what would become their community center. But even in this surge of energy, the specter of doubt lurked. How will we sustain it? A voice from the crowd chimed in, pulling Jessie back to reality. He hesitated, then let out a sigh. We'll find a way. This isn't just about us, it's about creating a legacy that can endure. Silence blanketed the group for a split second, as though the weight of the future pressed on their shoulders. But Jessie wouldn't let fear dictate this course. He scratched a rough outline of a timeline in the dirt, his fingers drawing dotted lines and circles, symbolizing their path. Let us meet weekly, he proposed, and keep each other accountable. Share updates, celebrate small wins together. We can do this. The collective resolve in the air was palpable, igniting a new wave of energy that rippled through their makeshift gathering. But as Jessie looked around at the eager faces, an unsettling thought brushed against his mind: what would happen if they couldn't meet the expectations set by their dreams? As laughter returned and chatter resumed, Jessie stole a glance at Maria. She smiled back, but in her eyes, he saw the reflection of the same uncertainty he felt. Would their enthusiasm withstand the test of reality? Jessie turned back to the group, ready to push forward, but the flicker of doubt wasn't extinguished. They needed to prepare for the inevitable challenges that lay ahead. All right. Let us meet this Saturday at the old library. We start putting this plan into action. Together, we'll make history. Cheers erupted once more, echoing in the air, drowning out the whisper of fear. Jessie felt a surge run through him, eager to face whatever came next. But as the crowd began to disperse, one question nagged at the back of his mind: how do you build a dream when the world around you feels ready to crumble? The excitement of the day mixed with an unsettling dread of the future, and Jessie knew that much more lay ahead. What obstacles would they have to conquer before they could see their mission become a reality? The atmosphere buzzed with enthusiasm as Jessie watched the crowd disperse, each person walking away with a spark of hope ignited within them. For the first time, he felt like he was on a path he had chosen, one that belonged to him and not a blueprint smothered in expectations. But even as excitement filled the air, a familiar tension danced beneath the surface. Would they be able to transform their dreams into reality? Would the world outside permit them to succeed? Saturday arrived, with the group gathered at the old library, the heart of their community. It wasn't much dusty bookshelves and creaky floorboards, but it was their starting point. Jessie stood at the front, the nervous energy quickening his pulse. He looked around at the dozen faces staring back at him: Maria's encouraging smile, Linda's determined gaze, and even some faces he barely recognized. They were all in this together. Thanks for being here, he began, voice steady yet filled with a mix of nerves and excitement. Today, we build our strategy. The room erupted in applause, and that echo of support shot through Jessie, trembling his heart with a mix of fear and exhilaration. After brainstorming, they broke into teams, each assigned vital roles to support their mission: a fundraising committee, a design team, and a community outreach group. As discussions buzzed around the room, Jessie noticed a familiar silhouette lingering in the corner. It was his father. Jessie's heart raced. Was he there to stop him again? "Dad," he called, waving him in. He needed to know if his father could see the importance of what they were all trying to achieve. The room fell silent, breath held in anticipation. "What are you doing here?" His father's voice surfaced, thick with warning. But Jessie wasn't backing down this time. He motioned for his father to sit, determined to prove that change was possible. "I wanted you to see what we're building, Dad," Jessie said, the strength of his heart shining through. "It's bigger than just me, it's about the community, the hope we can bring." His father remained stoic, brows furrowed in disapproval. "You think this is real?" That a bunch of well-wishing kids can solve the problems of the world. Jesse felt a mix of anger and determination bloom within him. It's not just well-wishing. You have to see what really matters. The real world is about connection, making a difference. Being part of their lives is meaningful. His father crossed his arms, eyes cold and unyielding. But behind him, Jesse caught a glimpse of a few committee members nodding. They believed, and that spark ignited his voice further. I want to let you define my future or anyone else's here. We care, and we're willing to work hard. For the first time, people began murmuring in support, sharing their own thoughts and experiences. Jesse's right, Maria called out from the back. This is about building bridges, not walls. Slowly, Jesse's father's expression began to change. His mouth twitched, as if the weight of doubt was finally giving way to understanding. Just as the room radiated with hope, Jesse sensed the barriers around his father tremble. I was young once too, his father uttered sheepishly, almost to himself. But no but. Just join us, Jesse pressed. Help us help others. Together, we can redefine what it means to truly succeed. Something shifted in his father's expression, a flicker of recognition, perhaps a hint of pride. All right, fine, he replied, voice softening. I'll support you, but you know how tough the road can be. The room erupted in cheers, a wave of applause spilling over as people embraced the moment a doorway of possibilities had swung open. Jesse felt a swell of possibility, light washing over his heart. In the days that followed, the team came together, hashing out plans, organizing events, gathering resources. They painted banners, hosted bake sales, and published flyers. Slowly, the spirit of their community grew stronger, and with each passing day, Jesse's vision drifted closer to reality, yet, amidst all the joy, hard days loomed ahead. Their first fundraiser was a nail-biter. The community center needed funds for renovations, but the turnout could make or break them. Would their efforts pay off? In the event hall, nervous energy swirled as community members filled the space. Jesse stood at the front, ready to welcome them. He glanced around, catching Maria's eye. Strength surged through him like a tidal wave. Taking a deep breath, he stepped up to the microphone. Thank you for being here and supporting our vision. This community center isn't just ours, it's a safe haven, a place of hope and growth. The crowd clapped and cheered, and for a moment, all seemed right. But as the lights dimmed and the event began, fear wormed its way back into his heart. Would they raise enough? Then, as the night flowed on, hope turned into reality. Each donation shared among passionate supporters filled the air with electricity. Their dreams were coming to life before their eyes, both Jesse's community center and the connection they shared. At the end of the night, they had surpassed their fundraising goal, a wave of exhilaration washing over Jesse and Maria as hugs and laughter erupted. The crowd felt alive, united by one purpose. With that realization, Jesse turned to Maria, who was beaming with joy, her laughter wrapping around him like a warm embrace. We did it. He breathed, a smile spreading on his face. Yes, we did. Together. She exclaimed, and Jesse understood that the road was far from over, but they had begun to carve out a path towards something incredible. In that moment, Jesse found a profound truth: he was no longer just the millionaire's son. He was Jesse Whitmore, a leader, a friend, and above all, a voice for the community that had brought him to life. They had forged a bond rooted in kindness and empathy, determined to carry those lessons into the many challenges ahead. With hope flourishing and determination ignited, they stood poised on the edge of a new chapter, ready to embrace whatever came next. So, don't blink. Join Jesse and Maria on their journey of transformation and connection. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your feelings about this incredible ending, we want to hear from you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.